providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherry Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Your Money. Steve Rosenberg, Sherry Goss here to take your phone calls. Give us a call today at 478-742-0940. And I want to know, this is a fun call. It's Thanksgiving next week. What are you thankful for? Or what positive life change have you made because of the virus? Call and share because other people might need a little lift up. You know, there's a lot of people that are just really down, stuck at home, out of work, you know.
Kids we're lucky we can work.
Huh?
We're lucky we can still work.
We're really lucky. I've been able to go to work every day through this whole thing. It's been great. Yeah. But yeah, what are you thankful for, or what positive life change have you made because of this shutdown? Have you made any positive life changes?
I'm walking more.
Yeah. You're walking a lot more.
Walking a lot more, yeah. I get up every morning, walk 2 miles.
My biggest thing is that under-desk elliptical thing I bought a couple weeks ago. I can't get over that thing. $250, and I feel so much better. It's amazing. Just getting the blood flow while I'm sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
So we're trying to eat a lot of vegetables. That's the biggest thing we're doing is lots of vegetables, more vegetables than meat. We're trying to cut back on the meat consumption. And anyways, so last weekend there was a walk bike event put on by Newtown, or I can't remember. It was a consortium. The library was doing a ribbon cutting, so I was there for that because I'm the board. They were giving away books. They were giving away all sorts of things. Those blinking light things that we got that that you can wear if you're walking.
I wear
them. That you can wear if you're biking or walking in the dark, so people can see you. And so there were all these giveaways and stuff. Well, I stopped and talked to this booth, and it was Mercer University students, and it was the therapy center at Mercer. And they were giving out flyers because during the virus, they're offering free counseling to anybody. Absolutely free. Normally, there's a sliding fee scale. But anyways, you can call them 301-5970. And if you didn't get that, just email me because I think this is important. You've got people dealing with parenting issues because they've been stuck. The kids have been stuck at home since March. You got people with anger issues because of frustration over a job loss. You've got people with grief and loss who've lost relatives who died in nursing homes and they couldn't go see them. I mean, I'm hearing stuff from everybody about what this mentally has done to people of just being shut down, being isolated, financial stress, and they'll even talk about military deployment or return. So email me, Sherry, SHERRI, at rfmoney.com if you're interested in that information, and I will shoot it back to you because I think that's a really great service they're providing to the community.
Yeah, it is.
So
they're having problems with an iPhone 12 already.
Really?
See that?
No.
We bought new phones.
So did you get the 12?
2 weeks ago. No, I got the 11.
That's what I got.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to plug my earphones. So I got my Bose earphones and all that kind of Nancy plugs, which were expensive, and you can't. They don't have the new ones don't have a plug to put in earphones. Mm-hmm. They want you to use their wireless earphones. And so the 11 doesn't have the plug, but you can use the charging port that's in there and get an adapter. And then you can put the earphones in there. So I got the 11, which is fine. I mean, I don't need all the, they're setting up for 5G, but it'll probably be a while till 5G really takes over, huh? You think?
No, my phone is 5G enabled. The plan that I bought. Yeah. No, it's happening everywhere because it's having to happen because
you have an 11, right?
11.
Yeah.
It's happening everywhere because of this whole push toward the connected devices. There was an article, Peter Diamandis had an article this week of the 20 changes that are happening in the 2020s and megatrends, and it's all because of 5G. The high bandwidth and low cost communication is expanding, and there's a direct correlation between the decline in poverty and that because people can work and learn from anywhere. I mean, that's what's happening in the whole world. And I don't know if you saw Elon Musk and his SpaceX. I have an article on that. about all of the satellites he's putting out in the atmosphere that will connect anyone in the world to the internet?
Really?
Yeah. I'll talk about that if I can find that. But anyways, this talks about the cost, 5G plus the launch of multitude of global satellite networks called Starlink is his company, allow low-cost communication for everyone, everywhere, not to mention the connection of trillions of devices. So people can work and create anything from anywhere. I mean, it's just amazing. And this whole driverless car thing is absolutely happening. All these things that sounded like a George Jetson, it is all coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Now.
The
very fast.
The driverless cars, the driverless trucks, all that stuff is coming.
And then they're getting smarter and smarter about renewable energy. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. There's a solar array being built between Warner Robins and Macon. If you don't have anything to do and you want to go see something, it's right where the county line is. And
it's on the Warner Robins side of 240, end of 247.
And it's a partnership between Georgia Power, the county. I want to say it's Bibb and Warner. I want to say it's both counties and the base. And what it will do is it will provide enough electricity to run the base in the event of an outage, a power outage, is why they're doing this thing, to protect the base and to make the base more protected against BRAC, which is a base realignment where they would shut it down and consolidate it with someone else. It is huge. To drive back in there and look at this thing, it is mind-blowing. And now there's another one coming. They just approved another huge thing. I'll get to this stuff. I'm all mixed around here, but there's a lot of big stuff happening.
There's that farm on 96 going to
Fort that's Valley, another huge
Fort
one.
Valley out there.
But this everything being connected also allows for the whole telehealth, because you can send people home from the doctor with a device instead of keeping them in the hospital. Send people home faster, monitor them from a computer, and you have to have 5G to be able to do that effectively. You've got to have a high bandwidth to connect so many more people and things. So it's all coming. It's a massive trend that's not stopping.
So how can you get 5G on your 11 when they say the 12 is the one set up for 5G?
There's something about the plan that they sold me for like extra $5 or something had 5G capabilities that lets me access it when that comes out. I didn't even look into it. I just signed up for it. I was so sick of sitting there after an hour, I didn't even care. Honestly. I mean, seriously, I just wanted to go. Just give me my credit, give me my phone, and get me out of here. So, on Tom Hill Senior Boulevard, where that is, right?
Uh-huh.
Where there's a big Kroger?
Yep.
That big Kmart that's sitting there vacant?
Yeah.
There is a adventure park going in there.
Yeah,
there
was an adventure park off of 75 years ago.
There already is one. There's a jump park. It's just a jump park.
But they had a big park there.
Well, anyways, the old Kmart is becoming an adventure park, and they're doing a
This was up 75. This was like past Bass Road.
No, this one is at Tom Hill Senior Boulevard.
Okay.
The one past Riverside.
Yeah.
So next to Kroger. They're holding a job fair today, hiring 100 people. They're going to have wall climbing, laser tag, and birthday party rooms. Have you seen the Buc-ee's at Russell and 75 that opened this week?
I have passed it on the interstate, but I haven't.
Holy cow. The whole parking lot was packed.
Yeah, people were there since like the middle of the night to get in when they opened. Really?
It's 53,000 square feet, 120 fuel pumps.
God,
and just piles
120 fuel pumps?
Yes, it's crazy.
Oh,
and the place was packed. I drove by it. People are going just to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works. And then what's weird is a Quick Trip is being built across from Amazon and Sardis Church.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a massive truck thing. So this is just for cars. This is not for trucks. Buc-ee's is a into car place.
Oh, it's not for trucks?
At all. There are no truck pumps
there. Oh, really?
It's all for people.
Wow.
Just not truck drivers.
So they don't have to go to trucks. They don't have to go where all the trucks are.
Right. Another thing going on, Holiday Lights, downtown Macon, start November 27th. There's going to be a live concert with the Macon Pops. Lights come on at 6 p.m. With live music, and it's also going to be on the radio, but I can't find what station it is. But you might want to put that on your calendar. The lights show downtown is just really fun, and get out and walk around and with your kids and socially distance and look at the lights.
Socially distance.
What you got?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. A lot of taxes could be here around the corner for investors. I guess you're going to...
Oh, because of Biden?
No, this is actually because of capital gains distributions. Because the market, for mutual funds, they do at the end of the year. When mutual funds sell stocks in their portfolio in your fund, they either have a profit or a loss. And so if they have a profit, so some are going to be a profit, some are going to be a loss, they net it out, and whatever the profit is returned to the shareholders in the form of capital gains distributions, which most people just invest it right in their fund, but you got to pay taxes on that. So they're saying because the markets have done fairly well this year, there will probably be taxes. There'll be some larger capital gains distributions. Now, this isn't an IRA, because the IRA, the money grows tax-free till you take it out. But if you have just regular non-IRA mutual fund accounts, be on the lookout. And if you want to do planning ahead, you could go to the fund company's website, and they can give you an indication of what they think it will be, how much per share they're going to pay, and you just figure out how many shares you have and do that. So that's a good problem to have because the market did well. The other thing, what was the other thing I had here? Oh, I got all this stuff here. Oh, this deals with cryptocurrency, which I can't talk about, but I can talk about taxes.
Okay.
So you have to understand that if you invest in cryptocurrency on any exchange, and there's tons and tons of exchanges, and you make a profit, not only are you're going to have to tell the IRS.
You mean you have to sell it?
No, you don't know.
To net out the profit, not just because the value went up.
No, you have to tell them ahead. No, there's a question on the tax return. Question on the tax return is if you bought something and sell it, obviously you have to pay tax on the gain. But it's not reported to anybody. The exchanges don't report that because most exchanges.
All right, you have to self-report.
You have to self-report. So you have to. There's a question on the next year's tax return, and the question is, it's right on the front page. At any time during 2020, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? And don't lie.
That's your tip of the day. Pretty general.
Don't try to hide it from them. I mean, they may or may not find out, but you don't want to take the chance because the penalty is going to be huge. So, and if you and you're telling effectively, if you made money, so you pay just like you do on stocks. If it's not in an IRA, you pay capital gains tax. You pay the same thing here, but you got to tell the IRS.
So even if you just bought some, you're supposed to report.
Yes. At any time, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial industry in any virtual currency? It's a yes or no question.
It doesn't ask you how many shares or how many.
It doesn't. Nope.
Really? What's the point of the question then?
The point of the question is they want to find out who's doing it, and then they'll
track you.
What to look for or something. Because some of the exchanges, there are some U.S. based exchanges that are just operate like regular brokerage firms, except they do crypto stuff. But then there's exchanges all over the world.
Right.
So you could be you could be in Afghanistan, you could be anywhere doing on an exchange, and they're not going to report to the United States.
Right.
So it's self-reporting, and it's just there. It's just a question so they can get you if they find out you're doing it. Then they and you lie.
And you do not want problems with the IRS.
No, it's not worth it.
It's a nightmare.
I mean, if you make a profit, it's not so bad. You're only going to pay taxes on the gains.
Right.
So at least if you make gains, you'll pay taxes on it. So why lie about that? Because then they're going to get you for something else.
Sure. I have a client that was audited years ago. God, this has been 10 years ago. They showed up, got in the conference room, required all the records for the last year, dug through it for a week, and found that at the holiday party, she had given gifts to some of her top producers. and didn't put it down as part of their income. Oh. And they were gifts that were like cost hundreds of dollars, something nice.
Yeah.
And she was doing it as just a thank you for all your hard work, and she thought she's doing this great thing, and they really appreciated it. Well, the auditors found the receipts for those gifts, I guess, as an expense when they should have been included in the employee's pay, and so they called in the dogs.
Really?
And they went back 7 years, and they were in her shop for a month, and she had to get her CPA and pay him to sit over there and help them. And they dug through everything, 7 years worth of stuff, and didn't find any other thing, but just ruined her life for a month.
Wow.
You don't want a red flag of nothing.
It's not worth it.
No. And they're not friendly either, because I've been audited a couple times, and it was
you got audited by the state.
I got audited by the IRS once and the Department of Labor twice since I've worked with you. I don't even understand it. I turn
her in, but don't tell her.
The first audit, I'm like, what the heck? I am my only employee. I'm an S corporation. I use a payroll company. I do everything right. I'm not doing anything wrong. Why is this happening to me? And that lady was so mean and nasty. She was worse than the IRS lady. They were all terrible because they are gunning to find something that you're doing wrong, and they'll sit that 4.5 hours of digging through everything, and they found nothing. It just made her mad. It made her mad that she couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Bah. Okay. Signs that the economy is starting to recover from the you-know-what. This past week, Site Selection Magazine named Georgia the #1 state to do business for a record 8 years in a row.
Wow.
This announcement coincides with new data from the Georgia Department of Economic Development, which shows the state remaining on a record pace for economic development investments and job creation going into next year. And I get Georgia Trend Magazine because I belong to the Chamber, and there's 3 incredible articles this month, November of 2020 issue. One of them is about how Georgia has attracted they have a group of 100 top scientists, and they're all working on vaccines locally. There's like people in partnerships with Emory University, Georgia Tech.
CDC?
I don't think they're working with the CDC. They're on their own. Currently, there are more than 250 COVID-19 vaccines in some stage of development worldwide, which makes you wonder the accuracy of who's and what's and whatever. Okay, so the intent, they've been working to develop next-generation influenza flu vaccines for 15 years, this group of scientists in Georgia. The intent is to change the way we do influenza vaccine in the future and to eliminate the need for an annual flu shot. We've been able to now develop COVID vaccines and pair them with our universal flu vaccine to come up with a protective respiratory vaccine against both, which I have not heard of anybody else with this, doing this. So don't say Georgians are dumb. We're pretty smart. The fact that the seasonal flu virus changes rapidly and the vaccine has to be reformulated annually has been a challenge. Our ultimate goal would be to have a single shot that lasts you a lifetime, like the polio or the smallpox. Yeah. That's what they're trying, or maybe even a decade, like a tetanus shot. That's what they're working on. That's one huge, great article. And this next one, I know that I like to give people an update on the port. So the Savannah port is huge. It's why all these trucks are going up and down I-75 and 16. I mean, it's massive. The Savannah port handled a record 4.5 million 20-foot container units in 2019. And e-commerce, our forecast for 5 years from now really come about. Our forecast for 5 years happened in 3 months because of the virus. 5 years worth of growth in 3 months because of everybody buying online.
Hey, so weren't they going to widen 16?
Yes.
Because they're cutting trees down. So I have a client from Danville, and so he was in the other day, and I said, they're cutting all those trees down. Is that for
the truck-only lane?
It's not for on 16. He said, no, it's not. No, they're just cutting the trees down.
Yeah. And there's an article in here about the truck-only lane. I got to read a minute. So they say in Savannah, we're the only port that is able to put a container on a rail within 24 hours of coming off the ship. And they can deliver faster because of the rail infrastructure they've created. They can deliver goods to end users faster than any other port in America.
Really?
That's why they're just blowing up.
You know, it is amazing how advanced Georgia is.
Right.
I mean, it really is. Because everybody's always made fun of it.
Right.
But, you know, it's get some really, really smart people here.
We can do a 10,000-foot train in our port, 18 at a time. 18 10,000-foot trains at a time down there,
really?
Loading and unloading. These cranes are 100 feet long. They can take a box and turn it 90 degrees and put it on the train in 3 seconds. That's why we're kicking butt, people.
Wow, unbelievable.
And then this last thing, I'll be real quick here. Transforming the future. So this is about remember those truck-only lanes we talked about?
Uh-huh.
So 2 barrier-separated truck lanes will be built northbound along I-75 from around the I-475-75 interchange near Macon to the McDonough area. As we're looking for the need for capacity, we're thinking of safety and all of that kind of stuff. And it says in here that one truck trailer will pull 4 container units on this one lane. There'll be one lane going northbound, and on the other side there'll be a lane just truck only going southbound, but it's going to take them 7 years to get it done. It's a massive project.
So it's only for like really, really big trucks, I guess, huh?
Yeah, 44. They want to get the trucks off 75, which I agree with because it scares me to death. Yeah, I was driving home the other night in the dark, and people are passing me on the right and the left. Trucks are changing lanes. It's too much. And it's slow now compared to what it's going to be because they keep expanding the Savannah port and the Brunswick port and you know, all of this. And people are working from home, so you don't have as many cars on the road. So once everything really gets back to normal, it's going to be just crazy.
Yeah, there are a lot fewer cars out there. So
right.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's a lot of good stuff going on in Georgia.
So the maximum you can save in your 401k plan in 2021. Next year, you can defer up to $19,500 into a 401k plan at work, plus $6,500 more if you are lucky enough to be over age 50. And that's unchanged. They wrote an article on something that's unchanged. In 2021, you can contribute $6,000 to a traditional or Roth individual retirement account and an extra $1,000 if you're 50 or older. So that's also unchanged. If you got a high deductible health plan, you can contribute up to $3,600 in your health savings account next year. So is it worthwhile for everybody to have a health savings, or only if they have a health savings account, only if their insurance doesn't pay for a lot of the stuff, do you know?
Well, if you have a $6,000 copay, it depends on, so you can have a high deductible health insurance plan with a health savings account that pays your copay, or you can have a health savings account that just pays for out-of-pocket, you know, prescriptions and therapies and stuff like that.
You can do that with any plan, even a regular plan?
The company has to offer it because they have to manage it. And that's the deal where you have to spend it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
The one that you pay out for out-of-pocket ancillary medical costs, that's the one you have to pay. You have to use it up by the end of the year or you lose the money. The health savings account with a high deductible insurance plan is you can roll it over year to year, which is what Indiana did, which solved their health insurance problem because people have skin in the game. If that HSA money belongs to them and they can roll it over to the next year, they're not going to go for the most expensive treatment and go to the ER and waste $3,000 if they can go to a med stop.
But if you're just in business for yourself, you can't do it.
Yes, if you're independent, you can buy a high deductible plan with a health savings account. I called Heart of Georgia Insurance because I have 3 clients that are retiring next year at age 62, and they're going to have to bridge themselves to Medicare. Yeah. And so I called them, and I've emailed them and called them and asked, can you give me a sample quote of what this would look like? And I think they have to talk to the person and get your age and your health and all your stuff and your county where you live and all that mess. So she couldn't give me anything. But yeah, broker, you could go through a broker and get that. And it'll be a lot cheaper than a mainstream health product because of the high deductible. But if you can put the $6,000 in your health savings account and then roll that over into the next year and eventually use it for retirement, I mean, that's the winner.
So what if you don't have a high deductible plan? Just have a regular plan where most of the stuff is paid by the insurance company, but you pay deductibles and stuff like that.
Then I think you only have the option of the HSA that's for ancillary expenses. And I think, so in one place I read that you can have an HSA that would help you toward copays, but I don't know how far it goes. And because the problem with a traditional HSA, just a savings for ancillary stuff, you have to use it by the end of the year, and you don't know if you're going to need it for your copays. So if you put $5,000 in there, and you have no expenses because you don't need a doctor this year, then you lose that money. You'd have to spend it on cases of contact lens solution. And I mean, I've known people that the last month of the year they put too much in, and then they had to go spend it on all this stuff that they had to stockpile, because if you don't, you lose it.
I gotcha. Okay.
So there's two different kinds of HSAs.
So you're better off doing it through an employer, I guess, if they've got a plan like not a great plan.
I don't know.
If your health insurance is not great and you got big deductibles and stuff like that,
you're just stuck. I mean, there's nothing you can. The best thing you can do is have a savings account that you would use for deductibles in case something bad happens. But if you put it in the HSA, you have to spend it by the end of the year is the problem. So, but yeah, if the state encouraged more people to do high deductible plans with health savings accounts that are the kind that pay the copay, it causes people to change their behavior, and that's what's happened in Indiana, and Singapore does it too. They're the only two places who have done this, and it's lowered all the costs because everybody shops around. They don't just buy the most expensive this because they get it for free. That's the problem with Medicare, is all this stuff, well, I'm not having to pay anything, and so you're getting over-prescribed, over-treatment, overspending.
Yeah, and you don't care.
Yeah, because the government's going to take care of it. Which is the problem.
That's the way it should be. The government should take care of everything.
So I mentioned, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not sure I did. I talked about it on Channel 13 that teenagers can invest in Roth IRAs if they have income from a job that gives them a W-2. And they don't have to be the ones making the contribution. The parent can make the contribution to their Roth. Totally legal. They just have to have the W-2 income that shows on their tax return that they made that amount of money. So you have to have a W-2 showing you made at least the same amount that you contribute to the Roth. But it has to be a custodial account because they're minors, under 18. But you can do this. I mean, if you have grandkids and you're not necessarily wanting to put money in their 529 because you don't know if they're going to go to college, because education is shifting so hard and fast with how people are learning and what we need people to learn, that I don't even know what it's going to look like in 15 years. So we were going to max out our grandkids' 529s, and we're kind of questioning it now. I think we'll put a certain dollar amount in it and then just see what happens, because all these places are offering 4-month degrees for high-tech jobs, which is where you want to be.
Yeah.
You have more opportunity. Anywho.
This is pretty obvious.
What's that?
But there's an article about it. Business owners expecting paycheck protection loan forgiveness cannot deduct the expenses. So if you participate in the Paychecks Protection Program to make your payroll, you cannot write off those expenses on your taxes.
That would make sense because they didn't exist.
Total because you so what people might do is they say, well, I paid them. You know, they got the money from the government, and then they paid the employee.
Right.
And so, therefore, they might say, well, I can write off what I paid the employee. But it was the government's money. It wasn't their money, so you can't deduct it. Which, as I say, you can't write off expenses if they expect the debt will be forgiven. So if they're going to forgive your loan, you can't write off the expenses that you used.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
You'll get audited.
That's pretty. I mean, some of the stuff is just so obvious. It's just,
So one of the guys that wrote Freakonomics, and I'm missing the first page of this article. It must have gone in the trash can by accident. I think his name is Stephen Lovett. He's been home helping his 4 kids, 3 or 4 kids, teenagers with their homework, and just ripping his hair out on the new math.
Yeah.
I have so many clients ripping their hair out on the new math. It makes no sense. It makes it more complicated. And it does no good for these kids. It's not helping them in any direction. So he wants to broaden the pathway to college acceptance. He wants to change how we teach math and make it more relevant. He said, if you have a computer, why do you have to know all of these formulas and algebra and all geometry and all this stuff? What is the point of learning it? They never use it. Maybe an architect would use some of it. I don't even know. But he says if we could improve math, it would broaden the pathway to college acceptance, prepare students for real-life issues such as understanding the amortization of a mortgage, evaluating the impact of waste on the environment, or deciphering infection rates of COVID-19. So he says that the movement to reform math teaching is gaining momentum as some higher education institutions adjust their admissions requirements. And he wants to eliminate hand calculations. He's like, Today's math curriculum, it doesn't acknowledge that computers exist. Yeah. 80% of the teaching involve rote hand calculations, redundant exercises like long division and exponential functions. Why bother with that mess when a computer can calculate it in seconds at a much more complex level? I think you need to know some math. I'm upset that they don't teach multiplication tables anymore. They don't make kids memorize them. We had to do it in the 3rd grade. I use it all the time in the store. I mean, it's like, I don't know. We're at the halfway mark, so we are Rosenberg Financial Group. Steve Rosenberg and Sherry Goss are here to take your calls. 478-742-0940 is the number. CT is sitting by the phone with his finger on the button, waiting.
Trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
And he's not doing a real good job of it. He's about ready to keel over, so I don't want to have to lift him up. We don't have a crane here, so I don't want to have to lift him off the floor. So
Becca asked me to give her a plug. So we have a new advisor, Becca Wilton, and she has 20 years experience in the financial services industry. She does financial plans. She has a smaller minimum. Her account size minimum is $5,500, and she wants you to stress less about your money. So if you need to talk to somebody and you don't meet Steve and my minimum, then you can talk to Becca. She's right across the hall from me and a very nice person. Great.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, I listen to, when I'm in the car a lot, I listen to Fox News. And so I listen to all these advertisements.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. And you got Bill O'Reilly, who doesn't know garbage about anything. And I wouldn't trust him as far as I could pick him up and throw him. Advertising these, I use this, and I do. And so you got all these guys on radio and television advertising these products.
Investment products?
Yeah, investment products and gold and silver and, everything else. You could get this kind of return, that kind of return. Then there's people selling newsletters, and they say, well, if you bought this stock from our newsletter, you'd be up 1,000% and all that. And the problem is they can say whatever they want to say. It does not have to be true because they're not in the investment business.
Right.
So they'll pick and choose. They're not going to tell you, buy my investment newsletter, although I did lose 55% in this one stock I picked. They're going to tell you they're going to pick the good ones, and if you'd done this then, you'd have this much money now. And it's really bad for the crypto thing, where you can turn $500 into, you buy this newsletter, turn $500 into $15 million and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And you just got to be careful because as I say, if they're not in the investment business, if they're not licensed in the investment business, they can say whatever there is because there's freedom of the press. And so just be careful. I mean, there's one thing is saying 37% per year with this certain index fund. Up to 53%. So whatever, 184% upside.
Ask for the guarantee.
I mean, everything has an unlimited upside, I guess. I mean, you could say anything about that. So just don't get caught up in that stuff. When you're dealing with people who are actually in the business and are licensed in a securities business, there's rules and regulations that prohibit that kind of stuff, and promises is one of those things.
Which is why we're audited every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look at everything. The other thing to lower your expectations about is class action lawsuits. So our phone's been blowing up this week because we owned Southern Company back in 2013, and there's a class action lawsuit against them, and so all of our clients got letters about it and we're asking whether they should fill out the paperwork. And the potential is possible 19 cents a share of what they own during this certain time frame if they get anything. And I was listening to Kim Commando, somebody, I don't remember who, a couple of years ago, or last year probably, and she was talking about class action lawsuits and how it's become a mill. And these lawyers go to these annual conferences now, and there are people at their conferences that market themselves as class action lawsuit specialists.
Well, especially in the medical field.
So if a lawyer can find one case of something that's egregious, they can expand it into a class action lawsuit, hire these marketing companies that go nationwide with TV and radio ads, print ads. They try to get as many people as they can in the suit. That is the goal. And then they have to process all that paperwork and all that documentation of getting all these people in there. And by the time the suit is settled and done and the lawyers get paid and all the processing is paid for, the end people get nothing.
Yeah.
The smallest people with the smallest amount of whatever get nothing. Yeah. And so there were 3 running just 2 weeks ago on 940. On my way home, I heard 3 different class action lawsuits. It's just a racket. It
is a racket.
It's ridiculous.
But they're making fees. And it doesn't matter if they win or lose because they're going to make fees somehow. Anyway.
Anywho.
Yeah. So don't expect anything, and it's not necessary. Every so often there's something that really pays off big, and I guess that's what they live for.
So the stimulus talk started back up again yesterday. They're trying to get, but Stephen Mnuchin is trying to redirect vaccine distribution funds. No, that's not right. They would prefer to spend less on relief effort and offer vaccine distribution funds and another round of the PPP for hard-hit small businesses. I'm still talking to small business people that never got any of that.
Yeah.
They never applied for it. And they got lucky and made it through, but pretty scary stuff. But, you see, they aim to draft a targeted stimulus package to meet with the Democrats in the coming weeks. I can't imagine that'll happen. With everything that's going on?
It's tough for the average person to get information. I mean, we talk about on the radio show when stuff like that is going on. But I mean, just for the average person that has got a small business and, just spends all his time running the business.
Right.
And not worrying about everything else, and all of a sudden they come up with this thing and it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle of all the other noise they're hearing. And so it's, And then there's no guarantee that check's ever going to get to you.
So I have a client that missed out on the $10,000 free dollars because he turned down the loan. And I had to research it, and it turns out that EIDL money, and so he didn't get the $10,000 because he didn't take the loan. And so there was banks too that were not helpful to small business owners. That was really the biggest problem. The big banks were giving the money to their biggest clients, right, who many of them took money they should never have taken. It should have gone to somebody smaller. And so now there's a big lawsuit about that, suing all these people that took money they shouldn't have, and it's a mess. The government gets involved throwing money around, it's always going to be a mess.
That's for sure.
And the other thing about the stimulus fight, one of the divides of this push for another coronavirus stimulus bill is over the question of liability protections for businesses. So the Republicans are calling for provisions in the deal to protect businesses against being sued, like hospitals, doctors, nurses, colleges, universities, over how they handled the virus. Because people are going to want to sue.
Right.
I mean, especially if you got tested by a lab that comes out and says, 100% of our tests are positive, and you had to lock down your family for 2 weeks and made no money, I would think that person would want to sue the lab. I would think there'd be all sorts of lawsuits coming out of this thing. But the Democrats are pushing back on it. They don't want any liability protection. So I don't understand that. I can't imagine them negotiating through that in weeks. I can't imagine that happening. Did you see that Amazon is launching the pharmacy deal?
Oh, I've heard about it. Are they really doing it?
Tuesday, they launched the Amazon Pharmacy, offering drug discounts of up to 80% on generics and 40% on brands. So other healthcare companies were down that day with the threat of them. In June of 2018, they purchased PillPack, which packs your pills and organizes them by date and time you're supposed to take them. And so they've been working on this for a long time. But the article that I read this morning doesn't think that it'll be any better than like going to CVS or like we use Express Scripts. They don't, because all they're doing is distributing them. They don't have any pharmacy benefit management company like CVS does, where CVS can negotiate directly with the drug makers on the prices. Yeah. Amazon doesn't have any of that. They're just a delivery model. So I don't know, but if you take a number of drugs, GoodRx is an app that you need to download on your phone. We just had to take our cat to the vet again yesterday. She has sinus problems and upper respiratory infection. I don't understand something about how she's made is something wrong. But anyway, she's just sneezing and sniffling, and so we took her to the vet. We got a prescription we need to get filled. And so what I'll do is I'll just pull up my Good RX app on my phone, and I'll type in the drug, and it already has my zip code, and it will show me the prices for all the pharmacies. And the last time I did this, Walmart was the cheapest by like $20 cheaper than, I can't remember. Kroger and Walmart were the cheapest. So they're very competitive.
Yeah.
But if you don't use the app, you cannot just assume everyone's charging the same thing, because they're not. And then some places have special deals where you can become a member, like Kroger has a pharmacy deal where 5 people or people and pets can all be on the list and all get their just Kroger discount on the drugs. So shop around goodrx.com, or the app can download on your phone.
Did you ever have many clients taking their RMDs for charitable use?
This year?
Last year.
I didn't have any do that. I don't think I had any do that last year.
Okay, because I got a number and I do it myself. So I emailed my CPA and asked her, since if I take it out of the IRA, it's not taxable, but it's out of the IRA. So I said, well, am I better off to take it out of the IRA?
Wait a minute. If you take it out of your IRA, it's not taxable.
I don't think it's taxable this year,
because you're giving it to a charity. It's going directly to the charity, which makes it not taxable.
Right.
Right.
Or I could just write the checks and deduct them.
If you can deduct them, have to be a big check.
Yeah, well, I have a decent amount that I give to charity. And so, it just has to be more than your standard deduction.
Right.
The standard deduction is not that great. So
$12,000 apiece.
As long as it's more than
right.
Yeah. So as long as it's more than, so she said, you're better off just to write the check yourself.
Wow.
And then just write and get the deduction for that contribution. Cool. Yeah. And then I'll start up again from the charity.
RMDs to charity next year.
Yeah. So I hate to take it out of the IRA because but I just figure why, if I have to pay tax or if I don't have to pay, I'm not sure. But still, I don't know. The question is, you could take it out of the IRA if you didn't have to pay taxes on it. Then it's just that much less that goes to the beneficiaries.
Right.
So I'm doing it this way, and then next year I'll go back to the other way. I'll just write it, which is easier than filling out the forms anyway.
Right.
It's stupid.
That's true.
Yeah. So, but you got till December 31st to decide how you want to do that. But it is the question that I've gotten from a lot of clients.
So here's the thing about SpaceX, which is Elon Musk owns SpaceX. The SpaceX Dragon spaceship docked with the International Space Station late Monday evening, which I didn't see this anywhere.
I didn't either.
I get the feed from Peter Diamandis every week. I get his newsletter, and so that's how I got this article. A milestone for the space startup. Launch services might be the company's day job, but it is moonlighting as a communications company. SpaceX has already launched hundreds of company-made Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit with the hope of delivering high-speed internet around the globe. U.S. consumers can sign up for an update from SpaceX regarding when service might be available in a region. And I tell you, every car maker is gunning for Tesla. It came out this week, and I thought I had the article that every auto manufacturer is coming out with an electric car that they want to be better than a Tesla. And
I read an investment newsletter that the power is going to be unbelievable as it goes forward. It won't be as slow as they have been, I guess. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever been in an electric car, but the power will be like a regular.
Right. I think it already is. I think it already is.
With the pickup and all that kind of stuff.
But it's the number of miles you can go on to charge has been the problem.
Right.
So everybody's working on that. So Volkswagen plans to invest $86 billion, $86 billion, almost $1 trillion in the development of electric vehicles and other new technologies over the next 5 years. God, I don't know what it is up here that makes me get choked up.
You know what it is? It's the asbestos in CT.
Horrible.
CT sets off. He emits something that chokes us up.
With the shift to electric cars, connected vehicles, and an increasingly digital manufacturing process, the auto industry is amid its biggest transformation in a century. Volkswagen said Friday that it would allocate around half of the planned $177 billion in R&D to accelerate development of technologies for self-driving cars. They launched the all-electric compact car this year. The car has received complaints about quality and software features. However, the car has sold well, pushing Volkswagen past Tesla in September as the biggest electric vehicle maker in Europe by sales. Did you know that? I don't think you were listening.
Now I was reading about Elon Musk.
Oh, the biggest challenge.
He was born in South Africa?
No. The biggest change in the acceleration of software development to moving faster. This is a horrible sentence. What? Never mind. that paragraph didn't make any sense.
Goodbye, Elon. We'll miss you.
But everybody is jumping into that. Another $11 billion will be spent creating hybrid electric versions of all of its main models. This is Volkswagen again.
I remember when I went out to that marketing thing in Phoenix. Remember years ago when I was doing that, and they had the guy had a Tesla there, and he was talking about it back then, and that was like at the beginning, and everybody said, it's electric cars, you know.
There's a couple in our building own two, and that's all they drive.
Really?
Because there's chargers behind the Welcome to Macon building, and then there's a charger by Navicent that he charges it on. So that's the only problem. But you could buy a charging station to put in your garage.
So, but different cars have different charging things, right?
Right. That's the problem. I don't hear enough about the charging stations and where they're going to be. I'm assuming everybody's going to have to buy one and install it in their garage.
Yeah.
But then when you go traveling, well, the thing with Tesla is you have your route that you're driving, and it shows you where the charging stations are, so you can stop and charge.
Are they free charging stations? You know?
I don't know. There's a bunch of them on Tom Hill Senior Boulevard by a battery store. I didn't look. I don't know if they charge for that or not.
Yeah.
Good question.
Because somebody's got to pay for that electricity.
Right.
It's either Elon or you.
So one of my clients I talked to yesterday because of that class action lawsuit, he called in, and he has created a hydroponic garden in his basement. We've talked about it before because Randy and I have always been interested, and if we had had the money early on when the buildings downtown were cheap, it would have been so cool to build a hydroponic farm in Macon. And you could grow, and how they're typically structured is the pool on the bottom contains fish a fish farm. You take the water out of the fish farm and you pipe it up to the top, and it sprinkles down through the other layers of the farm, and you grow vegetables and stuff. And so there's a guy who says the future of farms is vertical. It's also indoors, can be placed anywhere on the planet, is heavily integrated with robots and artificial intelligence, and produces better fruits and vegetables while using 95% less water and 99% less land. Plenty is an ag tech startup in San Francisco that is reinventing farms and farming. There are over 1,600 startups and tens of billions of dollars being invested in vertical farming. There's some company that has created a farm out of this container, like a truck container. It's $80,000, and you can grow all of your vegetables you need for your restaurant. So you don't grow it. It's all hydroponic. It's all organic. I mean, people are really investing in things that will spread, because the big fear was there's not enough land, or the land's getting depleted. There's not enough food for all the people that are being born, and all that same story we've been hearing our whole lives. And this is a fix to it. We're not going to run out of food or land because you do it inside a building.
Wow.
People have been growing pot like that forever.
I know. Hey, speaking of pot,
we're not supposed to talk about that.
Huh?
We're not supposed to mention it.
What, pot?
Yeah.
Oh, do they have those stores still in Denver? Are they still selling all that?
Oh, yeah.
Cannabis stuff and all that?
Yeah, they have, because Denver legalized pot. And so our daughter, when we went out there a few years ago, she took us on a tour through one of the dispensaries. And they're massive buildings, and they're everywhere. So you go in, you give them your driver's license, you sit down, they call your name, you go up and get your driver's license back. They take you back individually to this room. Randy went back with her to see it. And they take you to a room, and everything is displayed behind glass. You can't get near anything or touch anything or steal anything. It's very secure.
Yeah.
And then you tell them what you want. They write it down. They take you back. You sit in the waiting room.
So you tell them what your ailment is or something? Is that what you do?
I think you have to already know what you want. I don't think they can recommend. I don't know. I wasn't back there.
Okay.
So you tell them what you want. They take you back to the waiting room. They put your order together. They call your name. You come up, give them a credit card, check out, and leave. The place was turning around. I mean, in the 10 minutes that I was there, they must have turned 20 customers around. I mean, it's like stuff flying off the shelves. Huh. So our daughter uses some CBD patch for her back that she gets there that she said is really effective for back pain.
Really?
But she works for the government, so she can't use any of that other stuff because of the blood tests. They can't test positive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those dispensaries are huge and they're all over the place.
Really? Phew.
And I think some other states, I think that's one of the things that Biden was going to decriminalize pot.
Yeah.
That was part of his platform. So that will be interesting to see what that does and what states allow it.
Yeah, because it's up to the state. It's like alcohol.
Right.
Right.
So once they
you can have dry states.
Because it's still federally illegal, but Colorado just did what they wanted to do and nobody bothered them about it because the laws haven't been changed yet.
Yeah.
But Canada legalized it. Mexico's legalizing it. I don't know if they have yet or not. So we're right in the middle of a big mess. I think they're going to have to. Anyways, what else you got?
Not a whole lot. It's a quiet period. There's not a lot of exciting stuff going on.
I had somebody this week. Oh, I wanted to tell you about an appointment I had last week that was phenomenal. So the couple, husband and wife, are clients, 2 sons that live in other states. They were in town for a week visiting, and they said their biggest thing they wanted to do is go through their plans for the future to make sure they could understand how they will help when something happens. One of them's disabled, whatever, gets sick, something. So they met, all 4 of them met with me, and we went through their wills. Their power of attorney was way out of date. They were going to go see an attorney and get new ones made that afternoon. Advance directives, their accounts, their beneficiaries, property, the whole burial, what they want. They've already prepaid for their burial. They've already got everything picked out, everything laid out. These people are super planners. But the kids came with a list of questions, and it was just fantastic. And so it only took about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. But we went through everything. And so go to your advisor and make an appointment. And if your family is in town for the holidays next week, see if you can't get in their office and get in front of them. And everybody just go down the list of questions, or even better, go to our website, retirerelax.com, and print out my life book and use that as a guide for what you need to do. Because that covers basically everything that the average person needs to do to get all their affairs in order and then have a family meeting. Do something, but don't just ignore this, and don't think that you're going to offend your kids by talking about it, because a lot of times the kids are afraid to bring it up because they think they're going to offend you if you're the parent and you're getting older. They don't want you, but my mother-in-law, she was one like that. We would bring up content like that, and she wouldn't want to talk about it. And now that she's older, she's bringing it up and talking about it more often, which is good. And she's all taken care of. She's got everything in order. So you just need to know. Everybody needs to get their affairs in order and know that their families are going to be okay, too, regarding all this stuff.
Good. Yeah, that is important.
Where the money is, like what banks, My dad passed away, and thankfully my brother took care of it all, and he knew my dad had money in 8 different banks. That would have been a mess to try to figure out later.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Where's the safe deposit box? Where's the key? Whose name is on it? All of that stuff. So, anywho. Want to close this out?
Too bad we don't have fillable forms.
Well, I'm working on it.
Oh, yeah.
I've just updated it last week, and that's my goal for this week, is to create a PDF fillable life book.
PDF.
Yeah, fillable PDF. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
hopefully I'll get that done this week.
You just type it in your computer and print it out.
You have to go in. You do that. You convert it, and then you have to go in and fix all the fields that it automatically converts. It's going to automatically convert a bunch of lines that are not lines that people are going to write in.
Right.
So I'll have to see how bad this is and how long.
And how much space you want to leave people to be able to type in stuff, too.
Well, it's already there. It's just a matter of making the lines fillable so you can write in the space. So I'll learn that this week.
So you can type it in from your computer.
Right, and not have to print it out and write on it.
Yeah.
Which will be a lot better.
Yeah, it would be a lot better.
That's my goal this week.
That's good.
Anywho.
And you should have somewhere a list of stuff. I have it on one of my keys of where everything is if something happens and counts and where the counts are and where everything is. So if something happens to me, it'll I put it on my. I have a key.
Does Nancy know the password?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I put it on hers too. I mean, it's on hers too.
Okay. So
I probably have to update it a little bit. Yeah. And my son. I have a key for my son that I keep, and then he told me the password that he wanted on there.
Good.
So I did.
Have a great weekend, Middle Georgia.
Have a great Thanksgiving. I won't be here next week, but I guess you guys will be here.
Yep.
Both of you.
Yep.
Have a good one.
The views expressed on this show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.